Hey guys, so first I apologize for not getting this done sooner. Wyatt and I were chatting today about his test and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to make this video for you. I totally forgot. So here we go. I actually have his test. I scanned it in real quick, so you guys will have it at home to look over, plus I have it here to show on the screen. So we're just going to again go over the questions that he missed. Number 1, so it says the sum of h and 2 is 8. What's the value of h? And so I think Wyatt read this as 8 plus 2. What is 8 plus 2? But it's the sum of, so we're adding, what are we adding? We're adding h and we're adding 8. So that would look like h plus 8, and it is 2. Remember, is means equals. So there's the equation that we wanted you to write based off of this. And then to solve the equation, we're subtracting 8 from both sides. H equals -6. In question 2, it says, what's the solution of the equation below? So in this one, he did get partial credit because he did do the first part right. He added 2 to both sides. So you can see that here he wrote plus 2 and then plus 2, and then he came here and he wrote x over 5 equals 10. So far, everything's correct. However, in his next step, he divided both sides by 10. But remember that this is division. I'm trying to undo division. I don't undo division with division. I undo division with multiplication. And we should have multiplied both sides by 5 because those 5's cancel, and then we get x equals 50. So that one was letter A. Okay, number 4 asked to solve the equation, what's the solution? And so he actually, he distributed correctly here, right? We're taking 2 times m minus 2 times 6, so that would be 2m minus 12. But we don't distribute over here. This should still be an 8. And then from here, there's not a whole lot of other work, so I couldn't really tell what was going on or how you got your answer, but we should be adding 12 then to both sides. This is now a two-step equation, so 2m equals 20, and then dividing both sides by 2, we get m equals 10. And I know it probably seems like I go through some of these equations a little quickly. We've now been doing this for lots of weeks, and he may be even able to share that in the unit that we're doing right now, we're even setting up and solving more equations. So they're getting a lot of practice with this. Number 5, he just missed the second one. The answer here is yes, and so I talked with students a little bit about how this math program prints these arrows. These arrows, when they point in that direction to the left, it really means, hey, we're going on forever. We're talking about every number that's from negative or from 4 all the way down. And so even though it like stopped right here, it doesn't mean that it's not including everything past that. So maybe that's just something he forgot. But -2 is down here, and you can see that it's clearly part of the shaded space. So it would be included. It would be a solution. So we should have said yes. Solving the inequality. So here he did do the first step correctly. He did subtract 10 from both sides. He got 3. I'm not sure what this 0 is because this is what we should have brought down. So we should have had -3x is less than 3. And now I have to get rid of that multiplication by dividing. And this is where we have to remember that one new rule with inequalities, that when you divide by a negative, you have to flip your symbol. And so here you can see we're dividing by -3. So we're going to get x is greater than, now the symbol flips, 3 divided by -3 is -1. So x is greater than -1. On step number 1, students could either solve the equation or plug 4 in. It's asking if 4 is the solution. So again, if I look over here, he started to solve it correctly. He added 1 to both sides and he got 8. He should have brought down the 2x. So we would have 2x equals 8. And again, he has this like divide by 0. So I don't really know, I don't know if he's like showing division here. Divide by, it looks like there's a 2. Divide by 2, and he's getting 0. but we want to make sure that we're notating it correctly here. Dividing both sides by 2 here does give us x equals 4, so this answer was yes. And then I was either looking for the correct work to solve the equation, or some students actually took the 4 and plugged it in right there. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 1 is 7, so they were proving it that way. When you write inequalities, we need a variable, we need a number, and we need a symbol. So in his, he doesn't have a variable. We need a variable, so that's x. I tell students always write it on the left. The variable always goes on the left. Then the number of focus. Where is the dot on the number line? It's at -3. We shaded to the right, so we're talking about all the numbers that are greater than -3. Remember, the symbol needs to like point that direction, almost like it's an arrowhead. The same way you shade, we shade to the right, so your symbol goes to the right. The dot is filled in, which means we need a line underneath. So the inequality for that graph, using x as the variable, is x is greater than or equal to -3. And I'll be right back. I gotta go grab a tissue. Okay, on number 3, this is where I really liked it, because he does a good job of showing work, and so I can kind of see like what's he thinking. This is multiplication, right? This is 4 times x. And I undo that by dividing, and he even put on here, there's no way that this is 0. He knew that what he was doing was giving him an answer that he just kept thinking, there's no way this is right, this can't be right. And you're right, the answer is not 0, because 4 times 0 is not -24. And then he tried to, I think, maybe add 24, but what we're trying to do is get stuff away from the x. I'm trying to get this 4 off of the x. I'm not trying to move this. I'm trying to take the 4 that way. So we should have divided both sides by 4, and I'm going to kind of write over his writing just because there's not a whole lot of room everywhere else. So those 4's cancel, and I get x equals -24 divided by 4 is -6. And on the next one, he even wrote the right stuff, but just didn't do the right operation. So this subtraction on number 5, I'm trying to get rid of subtracting by adding 4.3. Now, I don't know. I think he might have maybe taken the 12. He was trying to maybe add 12. He wrote 12 plus. And then he stacked stuff up not correctly. He did stack stuff up. Remember, when you stack up decimals, the decimal has to line up. So the number 12 would be there, and the 4.3 goes like this. So then you need a decimal there and a 0 there. These should have been added together, and I think he did try to add, but again, he doesn't have things lined up correctly. So he did 1 plus 4 and got 5, and then did 2 plus 3, and he got 5.5. But the answer should have been 16.3 when we add. Adding 6 to both sides. So as I look through some of these, he knows he's supposed to add first. You can see it right there, right? That cancels out. And he added here correctly, and he got 24. What we didn't do, though, was we didn't bring the 3y down. And then he even shows divide by 3, but I think he's writing, let me erase some of this now, I have too much on here. He's writing divide by 3, but he's not coming over here and also dividing by 3. What he's doing when he comes over here is he's adding 3, because 24 plus 3 is what 27 is. So again, adding 6 to both sides. I think these were worth 3 points apiece. Adding 6 to both sides to cancel that out, we end up with 3y equals 24. And then we divide both sides by 3, and we get y equals 8. On 7, he needed to distribute first. So I can't subtract 2 to cancel the plus 2, because it's not actually a plus 2. You're going to see in a second, 5 times d is 5d, plus 5 times 2 is actually 10. and that's what I want to try to get rid of. So we should be subtracting 10 from both sides first. 5d equals 5, and then we're dividing both sides by 5. Remember, that's the opposite of multiplication, and d equals 1. On number 8, so now number 8's one where we have like terms. I have this 2m and I have a minus 6m. He put them together and got negative 8, but it's 2 minus 6. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. So we should have negative 4m equals 40. And then when we divide both sides by negative 4, we get m equals negative 10. So we knew we needed to combine. He does get some partial credit on these. I think those two were each worth 4 points. I'm recognizing, yeah, he knows there's subtraction that needs to happen. He does know he needs to divide. Here he knew he needed to combine the like terms, just didn't combine them correctly. So you got to remember, it looks like instead of doing some of the division, like here we needed to divide by 3, here we needed to divide by 5, here we needed to divide by negative 4, he's adding or subtracting instead of dividing. That's kind of like a consistent error that I'm seeing. Okay, we did fine on 9. 10 was ugly for a lot of students, but he had some pieces right. There's a division sign, I see quotient, he has subtraction, that's less than. Okay, so let's just look at this one. It says 3 less than the quotient of x and 5. I mean, that's a mouthful. What on earth does that even mean? Well, I tell students to highlight or underline operations. That's subtraction, that's division. So we're subtracting two things, but we also have division. What are we subtracting? We're subtracting 3 and all of this. We're subtracting 3 and a quotient. We'll worry about the quotient in a second. Another thing students needed to remember here is that when you see the words less than, you have to switch order. So we're actually subtracting 3 from all of this junk. Well, what's all this junk? The quotient of x and 5. The quotient, that's a division problem, of x and 5. So this says 3 less than the quotient of x and 5, and then it says is 2. So is our equal sign. With these word problems, I tell students all the time, you can't do enough of these, to really prepare yourself for anything you might see. There's just so many different types of equations we could write. And then that one needed to be solved. I think the answer was 25. Okay, 11, he did get a point for getting it right, but we wanted them to write an equation. Hold on.
Just a heads up, we are aware that all the copiers are currently down. It's a server issue. Tech is going to be working on the servers intermittently, so please try it again later.
Okay, so it says the area of a rectangle can be found using the equation area equals length times width, where L is the length, W is the width. The area is 36, the length is 4, so really I just wanted students to plug into that equation. Area equals length times width. It said the area is 36, I'm going to put 36 here. The length is 4. We don't know the width. There's your equation. So he lost a point for not having the equation. Again on 12, off to the right start, he added 9 to both sides. I'm not sure what happened here, that little pencil mark. Don't make that an addition sign. It's a subtraction sign. And you add 9 to both sides. Okay, so 12 plus 9 is 21. This is correct. So we should have 7x is less than 21. We're going to divide both sides by 7. I do not flip my inequality here. I am not dividing by a negative. We get x is less than 3. So then we come over here. He even has that. Look, it even has 21 divided by 7. But he doesn't write 3. So then we come over here. We have an open circle at 3 because this is just less than. Remember, it's an open circle if there's no line underneath. And it's pointing to the left. We're shading everything less than 3. That's this direction. 13, I will tell you this, that 10 and 13 were the two hardest problems on the test collectively. So 13, we actually, if students had anything right we tried to give some half credit. So he does have the +5. So this says Bob's age is more than twice Kevin's age. Kevin's age is K. And then it says +5. So Bob's age is more than twice Kevin's age +5, and Bob is 27. So again, this is one where we're kind of looking at all of these words and trying to piece together an inequality. We wanted students to write an inequality. So I'm going to start with Bob's age. I'm just going to call it B. It is more than, it's more than, that's the greater than symbol. Twice Kevin's age, 2K, +5. Bob's age is more than twice Kevin's age +5. And Bob is 27. We actually know Bob's age, so now I can put 27 here. And then we wanted students to solve this. So subtracting 5 from both sides, and I'm going to run out of room here. I'm going to scroll a little bit. This is 22 is greater than 2K. Divide by 2. 11 is greater than K. So it says write an inequality that represents Kevin's age. We do talk about writing the variable first. So Kevin is less than 11 years old. We don't actually know how old he is, but we know that he's less than 11. So that was the correct answer there. Some students did actually get the right answer, just didn't write an inequality, but for the most part, that was just a tougher one for kids as well. Okay, so there's his test. Hopefully that helps. Again, I apologize for not getting that to you sooner. If you have any questions, please let me know. I think he said he was going to try to take the test on Friday, which I'm fine with that. So if he wants to start an AL and then maybe work, if he has to, for a little bit after school, I'm fine staying on Friday for, I have to stay a half hour, so whatever. But let me know. Take care.